Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. We hope you are well out there. Donald Trump, our president, is embroiled in a feud with many of his closest supporters, and I think he should change the subject. I am in the minority here, but let me come out and defend Trump right now. Can I defend him? Let me defend him. I don't care if he staged the assassination attempt at Butler. I don't care. I don't care, and I think he should admit it. I think he should admit it. I should change the subject. Stop talking about Iran. Just admit you staged it in Butler. It was the heat of the campaign. People do crazy things in campaigns. I think, I'm speaking just for myself, I will not think less of you if you admit to staging and faking the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. I will be impressed by the level of coordination. Explain to us how you did it. Kind of like those David Copperfield behind that. And I know that David Copperfield had some Epstein links. Folks, that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to explain the way a magician will show you how they do their trick. I think Donald Trump should do a 1-hour special on Barry Weiss's CBS News. This is a great idea. With Barry, members of the Mossad, and Trump to discuss how they fabricated and staged the assassination attempt. Now, of course, a real person died, and that's terrible. R.I.P. And they should say that in high stakes things like this, stuff like that happens. Imagine a town hall where Barry Weiss interviews Donald Trump about staging the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. It would be an amazing, because it's a fascinating topic, whichever way you stand, however you come down on it. Some people are going to go, well, it was wrong that he did that. And some people like myself are going to be more interested in the how. How did you do it? It's fascinating. Joe Kent, who's, he resigned from the intelligence, national intelligence, I don't even know anymore what these things are called. Tulsi Gabbard is the head of it, the director of national intelligence, the DNI. And Joe Kent was, I guess, her deputy director, and he resigned. And he's kind of alluded to the fact that maybe the assassination was not something that we don't know the full story. So maybe it was staged. Maybe it was faked. Maybe it was some kind of message to him, although I don't understand that because it almost, I don't get it. I don't get how close you would come. The top of the ear. But I think maybe it was staged. And I think now is the time to just come out and say, some people are going to be upset by this, but we staged the assassination attempt in Butler to show people how important it is and how important it was to vote for me and how far I was willing to go for them. Sure, some people will be upset if he admits it. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I stand by Trump if he comes out and says, I faked this. I stand by him. I don't mind that. I don't mind the pageantry of that, the skill, the technique. I don't mind that. It's a little endearing that he'd be willing, because there's no danger in a fake assassination attempt, right? Right? There's some danger if you do a stunt in a movie People die all the time, right? So there is still danger. And if he said, I staged it and we faked it, but they explained to me before we did it, he wasn't president yet, but they said, Donald, you could die doing this staged assassination. We don't think it'll happen, but it is difficult. And we don't know what's going to happen. I think this would be fascinating for the country. And it would move us in the right direction because this is what, let's take a look again. Butler, Pennsylvania.
It's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Now, a lot of people say that when he gets up here, that the fact that he gets up and that they move very slowly and he goes, wait, and he comes back and they do the photo op. A lot of people are saying that's evidence. I'm not saying this, by the way. People are saying it's like letting him up like that when they don't know if there's another shooter. A lot of people are saying maybe it's a staged assassination. I'm saying I don't care if it is. I think it was very well done. No, I mean, truly. I'm saying I don't care. That is important for our country, whether it was real or fake. It is the moment where George W. Bush stood into the rubble of 9/11, which they also might have done, and with the bullhorn said, I hear you. People around the world hear you. And the people who brought these buildings down are going to hear from all of us soon. These are important moments in our country, whether they are real or fake. Not every historic moment is going to be real. And if you think it is or has to be, you have an overly simplistic understanding of history. It was important, that moment when he said, fight, fight, fight. It was important. And this, look at the people here. Does it matter if it's real? Does it matter if it's real? Does it matter if it's real? It's so emotional, and it, to me, do you think people would be angry if you just said we staged it?
I mean, some people would.
I think most people would. But here's the problem. I wouldn't. Does that make me crazy that I wouldn't? Does that make me, it does, huh?
Yeah.
It makes me crazy. I tell you right now, I'm not even kidding. I am not kidding. If he said we staged this whole thing, I would laugh. I would not be mad. I'm mad about Iran. I'm mad that we've gotten American servicemen, and I think it's just men, but I always say men and women. And if women got killed, I am sorry. The fact that anyone is dying for this war, I'm completely against. That makes me angry. It makes me angry that we've done this. It makes me angry that we're still giving Israel military aid. It makes me angry. But if he just came out and said, by the way, we rehearsed that. We staged it. It was a production. I'm personally not angry. I don't know what that says about me. I laugh. And you know what it is? I go, Donnie. It's a Donnie T thing. I go, Donnie T. You got us again. You got us. And by the way, I'm not saying it was staged. Other people are that kind of work in the government. I'm just saying if it was staged, come out and say it. Sit down with Barry Weiss, friend of the show, Barry Weiss, who's doing a great job at CBS, by the way. I don't know if you've heard of this. Tens of people are watching. And she's about to take a sledgehammer to 60 Minutes, their most iconic news magazine. So Barry Weiss brings him on and talks to him and goes, Mr. President, this is Barry Weiss. Welcome to CBS. Many people are angry that you admitted to fabricating your own assassination on television. But you knew how high stakes this election was. And you knew that if you didn't kill the Ayatollah in Iran, no one would. So can you tell us why it was so important to stage your own assassination? And he would. And I think that would be a fascinating show. That would be fascinating. Israel, by the way, bombing Beirut 100 times in, how long was it? Was it an hour?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I don't want to, guys, I don't always want to be like down on Israel, but I got to be honest, 100 times in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
In a densely populated urban area? I'm really starting to get the feeling, and I'm just saying this, I'm starting to get the feeling that this country, Israel, is a little bit of a problem. I'm starting to get this nagging feeling that Israel doesn't really want this ceasefire. They don't want it to work. Take a look here. Explosions rock Beirut as Israel carries out its biggest attack. Now, by the way, stop this for a minute. Israel claims in all of these buildings there are terrorists doing terrorist things. Like thinking, I don't know what that even means, but apparently there are terrorists everywhere talking about attacking Israel. And Israel has to kill everyone to make sure that none of these terrorists find a way to do it. So Israel just kind of like wholesale blowing up apartment complexes because within that apartment complex, there are, I guess, terrorists. This is what all these brilliant people keep telling us. All the advocates of the Israeli strategy here, that there are terrorists in this apartment complex, so we just got to light it up. We just got to blow it up. And who's this? Absolute bombshell on Sky News. A Lebanese rescue worker completely dismantles the Israeli military narrative. He confirms the bombed area in Beirut was purely civilian with zero Hezbollah presence. Israel internationally targeted innocent children and the elderly. Here's the problem when you embrace this total war that Israel seems to be embracing. Their argument is we're going to kill everyone, and then some of those people will be terrorists. That's really their argument. Their argument is like, if we kill everyone, inevitably, some of the people will be terrorists. Or whatever. Take our word for it. But we have to kill everyone just to make sure. Because anyone who's thinking about becoming a terrorist, or anyone who knows a terrorist, or who might grow up to be a terrorist, has to be eliminated. So they've taken this strategy, which, by the way, I've never even seen this in 41 years of my life. I've never seen the brutality of this type of warfare. Now, I'm sure it's existed. I'm not an idiot. But this idea that you would just go in and bomb 100 targets in 10 minutes, and a lot of them are civilians, and you are massacring people, women and children. I mean, the blowback that Israel will get from this and that the United States will get from funding it is going to be insane. You're creating terrorists all over the world that are seeing this bloodshed, and it's going to radicalize them to commit acts of terror. You can't just indiscriminately kill civilians and not expect that people are going to be radicalized and driven to violence. And Israel doesn't want this ceasefire to last with Iran. They don't. They want the Iranian regime completely neutered. They want it to be a dysfunctional country. They want it to look like Gaza. They want it to at least be Syria, where you have either a puppet government, you have kind of a dysfunctional country. They don't want an Iranian regime that is stronger and more dedicated to getting nuclear weapons than they were, but that's what they're going to get. That's what they're going to get. Because it's pretty clear to everybody who's honest that we've lost. Our objectives in this war have not been met. We simply are walking away, and we should. But the only way to win is like 100,000 troops or a nuke. That's the only way to win. And there's people in the country that want a nuke used. And there's people that have argued for that at high levels, truly, that are saying, why don't you drop a nuke on Iran? And if we go after the Iranian infrastructure, their energy infrastructure, they're going to hit energy infrastructure in the Gulf. The price of oil is going to skyrocket. We're going to have a global energy crisis. So we've lost. There's nowhere to go. It's checkmate. We can't do the things we think we can. We're tweeting, we're truth socialing, whatever. We're trying to win the war on social media, and we're not even doing that because do you have the Lego thing up? Can you get that Lego video? We're not even winning the shit-talking war. We're not even winning that. The shit talk? You think America would win that, at least? If we're going to win one thing, we're getting bodied by Iranian AI in the war of shit talk. Truly. How embarrassing. We're the country that invented shit talk, and we're getting lit up. Take a look.
Orange pig. America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole. But Bibi's pulling strings and your vote is getting cold. We're not just fighting for Iran, hear this clear. Your people reached out to us. Yeah, we got the DMs here. If one nation's gonna stand against the Epstein regime's fear, it's us till the last breath. We've been doing it for years. We're standing here for everyone. Your system ever wrong, they've known all along.
How are we losing this? We are getting bodied with the Lego stuff.
Stealing from your own people, making them bleed, taking tax dollars just to fund your own greed. They waking up to the lies, the illusions of birth. You scream America first now. You put
Unbelievable.
Make Israel great again. Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you.
I mean, we're not even winning that. We're losing that. I mean, it's unbelievable. God. If something's been off in the bedroom, you're not the only one. A lot of guys wait longer than they need to take action. The difference? Getting real treatment is simple through HIMS. HIMS connects you with licensed healthcare providers online, giving you simple access to legitimate ED treatment options from home. No walk-in appointments, no pharmacy line. Just a complete, simple online intake. And a provider will review your information to determine if treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door in discreet packaging. That includes sildenafil, also known as generic for Viagra, available from HIMS at up to 95% less than the brand name version. And if that option isn't right for you, there are additional treatment options available so you can find what works best for your body. It's straightforward, transparent, and designed to make getting care feel easy. To get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED, hair loss, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/Tim. That's hims.com/TIM for your free online visit. hims.com/Tim. Prescription required. See website for details and important safety information. Sildenafil is a generic version of Viagra. Viagra is a registered trademark for Viatris Specialty LLC. HIMS is not affiliated or endorsed by Viatris. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest personal injury law firm. Their fee is free unless they win. It is amazing. They have 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. With over $30 billion recovered for over 500,000 clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. I mean, can you imagine? They're so confident in their ability to win. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/TIM or dial pound law. That's FOR, thepeople.com/TIM or dial pound law to let them know I sent you. This is a paid advertisement. Well, at least the state of California is doing good. Gavin Newsom came out and touted some figures that show that the state of California, where I'm sitting right now, is it the fourth largest economy in the world because we just beat Japan and India, but we didn't beat them by much, by the way. And some of that has to do with, the currency, strength of the dollar and things like that. But California is right now, I believe, we have a $4 trillion gross domestic product, and it accounts for more than 14% of U.S. output. And this outpaced major economies. And I believe we were number 5, but now we are number 4. We are number 4 in rank. California is number 4 in rank when it comes to GDP and growth. But everyone I know wants to kill themselves because California also has a terrible consumer confidence rating, like the rest of America, by the way. People feel very insecure economically, but because California has 5 big tech companies and they're run by 5 guys who are all in some way Satan, those companies account for a ton of the wealth being generated in California. It's a tech-heavy state. And all of those companies, we're talking about things like Alphabet, NVIDIA, OpenAI, all of these things. This is a big part of why California is kicking ass. California's future growth will be intimately tied to the fortunes of its tech industry. To get some idea of how tech-driven California's economy has become during the Newsom years, I looked at market capitalizations of large publicly traded companies before he took office versus today. At the end of 2018, about 60% of California big public company market cap was from tech. Today is about 80%, so it's gone up about 20%. And the increase in this ratio is driven by the sharp increase in the value of a few companies. NVIDIA, Apple, Alphabet, which is Google, Broadcom, Meta, which is Facebook. All these companies are now worth more than $1 trillion. While back in 2018, none of them was worth more than $750 billion. So all these tech companies are trillion-dollar companies. They account for a massive amount of the GDP. By contrast, California's other signature industry, movie and television production, has shrunk. On-location shoot days in LA plummeted 53% from late 2019 to late 2024. While soundstage occupancy fell from around 90% to just 63%. Iconic studios /staff, prop houses shuttered, and vendors went bankrupt. Entertainment can no longer be considered a tentpole of the California economy. So, by the way, this is the future of the United States. Tech is everything. It's everything. These firms employ a relatively few people. If you compare it to like what General Motors employed at the height of or Chrysler or companies like that. Tech companies employ very few people relative to those companies, and they're shedding jobs because AI is doing a lot more. So a lot of the jobs that would have been traditional tech jobs are going away. And these companies, NVIDIA, Alphabet, Google, which is Alphabet, Apple, Meta, These companies are, so this is why Newsom, every interview, he's talks about we have more engineers, we're graduating more engineers, we have more doctors, we have more tech, we have more this, we have more that. But then you drive down the highway and someone who's bleeding is wandering across the highway in some like altered mental state. And that's coming soon to a theater near you. This is exactly what happens when the entire country is, the entire economic output of the country is a few tech companies worth $1 trillion run by different versions of Satan. Again, their words, not mine. This is what happens. But the rest of California is just left to like figure it out. So you go, wow, this is because you say to yourself, wow, what does the fourth largest economy in America look like? Like if I went to LA, not America, the fourth largest economy in the world. What would that look like? If I went to the fourth largest economy in the world, you're expecting something. You're going, wow, I bet it's clean. I bet the people seem productive. I bet things run efficiently. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. I bet it's safe because there's enough money. I bet the standard of living's pretty high. I bet they've taken care of the vulnerable members of their society. I'm sure there's not rampant crime. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. And if you went to the flagship city of that, which is Los Angeles, you'd be like horrified. You'd be absolutely horrified. You'd be going, what's going on? Why are there people sleeping on the street? Why are there people overdosing at a Whole Foods? Why are there people going face down into a Whole Foods Caesar salad and dying? Why are there blue lip fentanyl addicts having seizures at the bus stop? And you go, oh, because this economy is run by 5 companies locked away in Northern California. And that allows Gavin Newsom to go out and go, whoa, oh, hey, nobody's more productive than us. Like this NVIDIA CEO, I forget this guy's name, Jensen Huang. Jensen Huang urged people to move to California despite the high taxes. Just a group of billionaires left the state in recent months under the threat of a new wealth tax. I say to everybody, Jensen says, move to California, don't leave. It's the highest taxes in the world, but it's okay. Now, Jensen Huang is the world's 10th richest person. And he said the weather is great during an event at Stanford on Thursday. He goes, the weather is great. So this is who California is now for. The 10th richest person. By the way, it may even work if you're like the 30th richest person in the world. You might love it. It's totally fine if you're not even in the top 20. You could be like the 35th richest person in the world and get along fine here. But you might wonder if you're in the 4th most productive economy in the whole world, why people are dying in front of you. That might cross your mind. You know, like people can argue about the reasons why, but everybody knows it's happening. People in the far right, far left, checked out, center, whatever. Everybody can see that it's happening. In the 4th most productive economy in the country, everybody says, well, that's interesting. And then, by the way, just talk to anyone in California. Talk to them and ask them how things are going. That's like a very non-scientific poll. Just be like, what's up, guys? How you feeling? Because nobody feels great except this guy who likes the weather, who's the 10th richest person in the world. Go speak to anyone in LA. I'm not talking about like Paris Hilton. Go find a person in Los Angeles and ask them how they're doing. Waiter, waitress, somebody who works at a gym, somebody who used to be a cameraman, somebody who used to work in set design. Find any of those people. See how they're doing. How are they doing? How do they feel? Do they feel like they're the fourth most productive economy in the world? Does it feel like that? No, because it's all balanced on these 5 companies. And all of those companies are trying to take the jobs of everybody else. So, by the way, it's still going to be. California will still be the 4th largest economy in the world when everyone's out of work. And it's a full-on zombie apocalypse, and hordes of people are running around on some new designer drug trying to eat each other. It will still be. In fact, at that point, it might be the 3rd largest economy in the world. California might go up because they might have just said, fuck it. These companies are making more money. We fired everybody. And the airplanes won't be able to land because hordes of zombies will be running around LAX, and they'll have to mow them down. They'll have to mow the zombies down on the runway at LAX. They'll go, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a slight delay here. We're going to have to circle the airport at LAX. We do have an incident on one of the runways, the runway that we were cleared to land at. So we're just going to circle the airport. This is very routine. Don't worry about it. And then what will happen is people will come out with guns and then shoot the hordes of zombies on runway 3L so that your plane can land. And there will be bodies of zombies that they light on fire, and you'll see them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Los Angeles. Sorry about the delay there, but we still got you in about 10 minutes ahead of schedule. We have, of course, as you can see, an incident that we're still responding to, because you got to remember they're going to be burning the bodies of the zombies at LAX. They'll be burning the bodies of the zombies when your flight lands. And at that point, California will be the 3rd largest economy. It'll have gone up one because they'll have eliminated some of the overhead. All the pesky overhead, they will have eliminated it. So they don't need the people anymore. So there'll be 17 people at that point living in the Bay Area, and they'll all have $1 trillion. There'll be 17 people living in the Bay Area, and they'll all have $1 trillion, and they'll have houses with security and clock towers with guys with guns, and then everybody else is going to be running around like fucking, what's the zombie one? The big one that was the popular one? What was it?
28 years later?
No, the TV show.
Oh, Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's going to be like The Walking Dead, and then 17 people, and they're going to come out, and the governor, whoever it is at that point, will come out and go, we're very proud to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. And we graduate more engineers than ever. And then it'll just be 17 people that live in Northern California. They all have, at that point, they'll have $2 trillion companies. Their companies will be worth $2 trillion because they'll have figured out a way to completely replace, they'll take humans out of most things. So it'll drive the profits up astronomically. Let's be honest. The cost of living isn't just high, it's exhausting. So if you've been leaning on credit cards lately just to cover the basics like groceries, gas, utility bills, you're essentially paying a survival tax of 20% interest or more. Why keep handing your hard-earned paycheck to the big banks when you could keep it for your family? My friends at American Financing have a better way. They're helping homeowners tap their equity to pay off high interest rate debt with mortgage rates currently in the 5s. On average, American Financing is saving customers $800 a month. That's nearly $10,000 a year back in your pocket. It's not just a loan, it's a total financial reset. It takes about 10 minutes to find out what you can save. There are no upfront fees and no obligation to talk to a salary-based mortgage consultant. Here's the kicker. Start today and you could even delay 2 mortgage payments. American Financing, America's home for home loans. 866-5350. That's 866-5350 or AmericanFinancing.net/Dillon. Disclaimer, MLS 182334, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. APR for rates in the 5 start at 6.196 for well-qualified borrowers. Call 866-886-5350. That's 866-886-5350 for details about credit, cost, or terms or americanfinancing.net/Dillon, Dillon. I love Helix mattress. I'm going to tell you right now, I love it. I have the Midnight Deluxe. Let me tell a short story about Helix mattress to make people understand how comfortable Helix mattress is. My friend and his wife fell on hard times. This happens to people. My friend lost his job, and his wife already wasn't working because she was raising their child. They were evicted from their apartment. They were a family. And because their families had sadly died in 9/11, both of their families had died in 9/11, and that's how they met on the first date. He said, my family died in 9/11. She said, my family died in 9/11. And they fell in love and had a child. And they moved in together, and they got an apartment. And he lost his job. And she wasn't working. She was taking care of the children. And they were evicted from their home. And they couldn't get any help from anyone. They wouldn't ask me. They were too proud. They moved a Helix mattress in the back of a strip mall by a large, what do they call the large garbage things? A large garbage disposal? Not a disposal. You know what I mean? Like a very large thing where you'd put garbage.
Like a trailer?
No, that's a trailer is a different thing. I mean like a big dumpster. Like a large dump. Can you Google large dumpster to see what I mean? Like a large dumpster, I think. Hit image. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay. So they moved their Helix mattress next to something that looked like that in the back of a strip mall in Long Island, where there was a pizzeria and a nail salon and things like that. And they would go and they had this big tent, and they would go into the pizzeria during the day, and the guy that ran the pizzeria would give them garlic knots. Google a garlic knot and hit image. This is what they lived on. It's kind of tasty, actually. They would get sick of it because that's all they would eat. But sometimes they would stuff the knots with pepperoni or protein. So this is primarily what they're eating. They're eating garlic knots from the pizzeria. Sometimes the deli would give them stuff too. But this is their main staple of food now. They're eating garlic knots. Remember, their families were killed in 9/11. So they can't go to their families. They're both only children. And their families died in 9/11. My friend's family worked in the towers. His mom and dad both worked at Cantor Fitzgerald. They were both financial people. And my friend's wife, her mother and father were on the plane from Logan that flew into the building. So they can't get any help from their families, and they're proud people. So they don't reach out. So they're living in a tent in the mattress in the back of a strip mall next to the dumpster in Long Island, and they're eating garlic knots from the pizzeria. Okay? And they never told me this until I found out. And I said to my friend when I found out about this, because I said, I'm sorry to hear about this. And he said to me, I said, I would have helped you. You should have called me. And he said to me, that mattress is the most comfortable thing I have ever owned. And he goes, I sleep on it with my family. And we smell like garlic because we just eat garlic knots all day. We have no money. And the pizzeria comes and gives, a little Mexican kid, gives him garlic knots in the tent. And he goes, when I sleep on that, he goes, I feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world. Even though both my parents died in 9/11 and I was fired and evicted from my home and I'm technically homeless and I live by a dumpster behind a pizzeria in Long Island. He goes, but still, the Midnight Deluxe Helix mattress is the most comfortable mattress in the world. He goes, and I said, I mean, it's amazing you're going through such a horrible time. He goes, Tim, the Happy with Helix guarantee offers a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. I said, but you're homeless. And he said, it's the most award-winning mattress brand. And I grabbed him. I started shaking him. I said, are you okay? What's wrong with you? You're living in a tent with your family. It's not hygienic. It's crazy. And he said, Tim, if you go to helix.com/TimD for the spring savings event, you get 20% off site-wide. And I go, I should call the police to take the child. The child should go into protective custody. He said April 1st through the 16th, 20% site-wide for the spring savings event. I said, it's not right that your child is not in school. It's going to affect his development. And then he goes, what do you learn in school anyway with all this AI bullshit? And I'm like, well, fair point. But it's still crazy that your child is homeless and you don't care. And he goes, I care, but there's nothing I can do about it except tell people to go to helixsleep.com/TimD so that if this happens to them, at least they have the most comfortable mattress. They get 20% off site-wide, helixsleep.com/TimD. So my friend, he's still homeless with his wife. And they are happy. He goes, I've never been happier. And he goes, sometimes people give us money. You know, now it's, our friend group kind of knows about it. So some people will stop by and give him money and food. And they're all really fat now. They got really fat. They used to be in shape, but they're really fat because they just eat pizza all day in the tent and garlic knots and deli sandwiches. It's disgusting. But he said he's never been happier. And he's a very big proponent of the war with Iran. Helix.com/TimD. Let's take a look here because it's too depressing. Let's look here, though. Let's cheer ourselves up. The great Melania Trump, friend of the show, having a impromptu press conference basically saying, hey, I didn't really know Jeffrey Epstein. Stop bothering me. Now, no one really knows why Melania did this. She's suing Hunter Biden for $1 billion because he said that Epstein introduced her and Trump. I believe she's in a lawsuit with the writer Michael Wolff. I don't know if that was settled or not. But Melania calls this like impromptu press conference. And she's basically like, listen, I didn't know Jeffrey Epstein. I knew Ghislaine very casually. And I never go to the island with Donald. And I never go there. I do not have sex with the children. I do not rape the children. I do not eat the children. I am not a cannibal. I do not eat the children. People say to me, you go to island and you're a cannibal. I am not cannibal. I do not sacrifice the children and I do not eat the children. So here's a First Lady of the United States reminding everyone she does not eat the children. She does not sacrifice the children to Baal, and she does not eat them. Now, by the way, I appreciate this type of transparency because we don't get it all the time. So here again, First Lady saying she does not sacrifice the children to Baal and does not eat them. Melania Trump.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today.
Correct.
The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards,
That's right.
humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein.
I never been friends. Stop it for a minute. What a great, I never been friends with Epstein. I never been friends with Epstein. What a great, I mean, what, do you ever sit back and just go, what timeline are we on? Like, what portal have we gone through? Where have we landed? Everyone keeps trying to get the aliens going, and no one cares because this is all more interesting. You know, no one cares. They keep trying to, they're like, another scientist was killed. No one cares. No one cares. I talked about it a few episodes ago. It's just people don't resonate with that because this is more interesting. The human drama here. This is the First Lady of the United States. I never been friends with Epstein. So go back to that. I want to hear that again, and then let's hear the rest of her speech.
I never been friends with Epstein.
Right.
Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach.
Okay, stop it for a minute. Here's what she's telling you. We're rich. We're rich. And here she has a point. Let's talk about her point. She's saying, I'm wealthy and I'm attractive. Many of you aren't either one of those things. So the parties you get invited to are like your sister's fucking, retirement party where your fat sister has stopped teaching biology at the high school. So there's a retirement party for your sister and they rent it out the back of an Italian restaurant and you get invited to that. And you know who's not there? Epstein or anybody. And she's explaining to you, like, this is the way the world works. Like, you live in a place I've never heard of, and you go to your sister's retirement party, and the teachers get up, and they make a couple of jokes about your sister as a teacher and how she was a real hard ass, and the kids were like, don't fuck with Miss Miller or whatever. And those are the parties that you go to, but we live in Manhattan. I'm attractive. My husband's a billionaire. We go out in New York City. So it's common in New York City to bump into people and you don't understand it because you're an animal. And she goes, I have a documentary about this called Melania where they talk about my life and I fly in private planes. You go to an airport and you eat a fucking Aunt Annie's pretzel and you sit there and you're told your flight was delayed. But I get on a G5 at Teterboro, which is an airport you've never heard of, and I fly and I land in Palm Beach, and I go to the country club that my husband owns, and I live there. And occasionally we bump into war criminals, human traffickers, people that are involved in overthrowing governments. This is what happens. This is who we go to dinner with. You don't. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt here a little bit. I don't know her relationship with Epstein. I'm just saying her point that she's living in an entirely different world than you is true. That's true. And I like that she doesn't shy away from that. She goes, this is the way it is. Everybody wants to know how it is. This is how it is. And she goes, I'm not like you. I don't need to jab myself with Ozempic before I go to fucking Cece's Pizza Buffet so I can only eat one slice, you monster. I live in Manhattan and Palm Beach with my husband, and we get invited to parties. Keep going. Melania Trump.
To be clear,
right.
I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a travel note.
Travel note? Did she say trivial note, travel note, or tribal note?
I think she meant trivial.
Can you go back again and hear, is that tribal note, trivial, travel? Hold on.
Doesn't amount to anything more than a tribal note.
Right. Trivial, I think she meant. Okay.
I am not Epstein's victim.
Right.
Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein.
It was a child auction, and they brought the children into the Plaza Hotel and auctioned them to different businessmen. I was very uncomfortable, and I told to Donald, why they have the children in the auction? And he said, you're from Eastern Europe, you know how these things work. But I was uncomfortable, so I went home.
No knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been calculating.
Yeah, by the way, all right, we don't have to watch this whole thing. Here's my thing with Melania. I tend to agree with her a little bit. I don't know why she's in the crosshairs here when there's genuine people that should be like literally testifying. I don't know the extent to which nobody's accusing Melania Trump of recruiting women or doing anything like that. So I just don't see why Melania Trump has to deal with this. And I kind of am, I kind of sympathize a little bit with her, and not because I think she's some perfect person and people are going to jump on me for this. I just don't know. I think she got caught in the crosshair. She seems to just want to be like a mom, like a rich mom to her kid. That's what she seemed to. And I know some people that know her slightly, and they said she just really wants to be a mom to her child. So I don't think people need to dogpile her. I mean, is her film the greatest? Hey, you see it. Make up your mind. But I don't think we need to be jumping on Melania Trump for this. Before we started recording today, I checked a new thing called Market Mood, and it said the market is feeling unstable. And the top story driving that mood was the war in Iran and the ceasefire. How cool is that? Took me 2 minutes to understand, and I actually feel like I know what's going on in the world today. One of the most common reasons people put off investing is the feeling that now is the wrong time. The market's too high, too volatile. There's too much going on in the news. That feeling of uncertainty is real, but that's where Stash comes into play. Stash is an investing app that feels like having a financial advisor in your pocket. They've created this thing called Market Mood, which basically turns all the chaos of the stock market into a single mood. It's designed to help you understand how the news is impacting the stock market and make it easier to understand what's going on if you start investing now. Market Mood is powered by Stash's AI Money Coach, and it reads through over 700 financial news articles and market data points every day to come up with a single daily mood rating for the market, like uneasy or confident. It's a simple way to understand the market in less than 2 minutes. No finance background needed. Check today's market mood for yourself at stash.com/mood. That's stash.com/mood. It's free. It takes just 2 minutes, and you'll actually know what the market is doing today. Stop guessing and start knowing. Head over to stash.com/mood. Paid non-client endorsement, not a guarantee, nor representative of all clients. Investment advisory services offered by Stash Investments, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk. Anthropic develops an AI tool that's too dangerous to release to the public. So they had a meeting recently where they're worried about this new AI tool that Anthropic has come up with, because what it can do is it can identify weaknesses in systems. So they had this meeting with Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary. Silicon Valley startup Anthropic has restricted access to its latest AI system. The company said its Claude Mythos preview model was so good at finding critical security flaws in computer systems that it could reshape cybersecurity, wreaking havoc if it ended up in the wrong hands. The system has already discovered thousands of security vulnerabilities, including flaws in the most popular web browsers and operating systems. Anthropic said it was giving a group of the world's top tech companies, including Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft, access to the system under an agreement called Project Glasswing, so that they would be able to fix any of the security flaws that it discovered. Hacking is seen as a major risk from advanced AI systems because of the technology's proficiency in writing computer code and its ability to automate attacks. Anthropic said Mythos allowed people with no security training to discover major flaws in software. Engineers in Anthropic with no formal security training have asked Mythos Preview to find remote code execution vulnerabilities overnight and have woken up to the following morning to a complete working exploit. I was reading someone, a very smart economist, who was talking about AI, and they were saying that one of the biggest issues is that the AI arms race between the U.S. and China, and if you could kind of get this up, I sent you a few excerpts from this, that instead of using AI as a way for the United States and China to cooperate and try to figure out how best to implement this technology to help people and to safeguard certain people's livelihoods and certain, security protocol. It has become an arms race, and it has become the main competition, the main plane that we are competing with China on, which is this AI race. And that's incredibly dangerous for the future of humanity. This is the person that I was reading. They're basically saying there's a choice that can be made, and the choice that can be made is that these two superpowers, the U.S. and China, can choose to cooperate with AI and try to figure out ways to prevent some of the issues. It's a little further down here. But that nobody's done it yet. Writing about artificial intelligence in chapter 6, Prasad writes with worry that AI, quote, robs my students of the clarity of thought that comes from shaping incoherent ideas into words and organizing those words into a coherent narrative. And this was a book review of this book. We're going to tell you what the book is in a second. And the reviewer was saying that's why I don't fear AI, because I'll never stop writing such that my thinking will constantly be evolving. I mean, sure. Okay. About China and the U.S. and AI, Prasad crucially writes that the two countries have sadly and very unwisely turned AI, quote, into a forum for competition rather than a platform for collaboration that could benefit humanity as a whole. Applied to AI, the way for the U.S. and China to, quote, win the AI war is for governments to get out of the way so that talent can combine with talent. What prevails now is anti-progress. Go up. I just want to tell people what book this is. This is a book from an economist who may or may not have passed away, Eswar Prasad's The Doom Loop. He comments on Bitcoin. He thinks it'll eventually crash. And he talks a little bit about artificial intelligence. In chapter 6, Prasad exposes worry that central bank digital currencies could be used as a tool for social policy, such that they couldn't be used to buy illicit items, porn, alcohol, other market goods that are not approved by governments. Of course, the latter speaks to why, quote, legal tender is near meaningless. He also talks about Bitcoin, and he says it's too volatile in value to serve as a reliable means of payment. And he said that he believes that Bitcoin eventually crashes. I found the AI stuff very interesting in terms of like the fact that we're locked into this war now with China, with AI, and someone's got to win. And the person who wins will then have the AI that they will sell to all the other countries. And they will have the systems that all the other countries use. And they will export that technology all over the world. So that's where the next great battle is going to be. It's not going to be. It's happening right now. And that's why you're seeing, Scott Bessent have these meetings with people about this new Anthropic program, and they're out there talking to bank CEOs to warn of cyber risks posed by Anthropic's latest AI model. So they're going around all these CEOs and going, listen, let's not have this thing expose all of the fraud that you guys have been doing. The last thing we need here is this AI exposing how fake this is. We don't need that. That is not what we need. This is built on a lot of bullshit. And the last thing we need is a program identifying how easily people's money can get stolen and how easily their information, which you people are already stealing. The last thing we need is a program to identify that. So let's keep our eye on the ball. Please, let's keep our eye on the ball. The last thing we need is somehow this Anthropic AI model figuring out how Trump faked the Butler assassination. Do we need that? Because Scott Bessent's sitting with a room full of people going, do we need that? And he's gay, so he's probably being a little spicy. He's like, do we need that? The last thing we need is this Anthropic finding out that President Trump faked his assassination. We're going to come forward with that information when the time is right. But this is now governments you have to worry about getting outed by these AI models. They got to worry about it. These big banks have to worry about these AI models fucking them up. So this is how powerful the AI tech overlords have become, that the products that are coming are going to be really disruptive to a lot of the power centers in the country. Things like these big Wall Street banks. There was a time when the Wall Street banks ran everything. And the people that worked at them were called masters of the universe. That was the top of the food chain. It was like the defense industry and Wall Street banks. And now tech is the top industry in the United States of America. They're the most powerful. They suck up a ton of money from the government. They get a ton of taxpayer money. And the products that they are coming up with are a threat, genuinely, to other power centers, including the government. Access to Mythos will be limited to about 40 tech companies, including Microsoft and Google. Yeah, you can't just let this stuff run rampant because you don't know what it'll find. You don't know what it's going to find. You have no idea if you let that program loose, that program's going to figure stuff out that you don't want figured out, because AI is going to start to figure stuff out. That's the other problem. AI is going to start to figure out stuff that we don't want it to figure out. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be, even though they're programming the inputs and they're trying to keep that stuff from, like people talk about, if you put in, Elon Musk deleted that tweet like Trump's in the Epstein files. That's why they haven't come out yet. And then if you ask Grok about it, Grok's like, I don't really know. And then people on X are showing you that it takes Grok a little bit to then admit that, I guess that tweet was real. That's exactly what we expect from those models. They're going to become better at developing hacking tools, biological weapons, chemical weapons, novel weapons we can't even envision. In one instance detailed in Anthropic's testing, Mythos broke out of a secure sandbox meant to restrict internet access, with a researcher only finding out, quote, by receiving an unexpected email from the model while eating a sandwich in a park. In another case, Mythos found a flaw in OpenBSD operating system that has been hidden in plain sight for 27 years. So these programs they are going to figure out eventually, not to scare anybody, not to disturb anybody, they're going to figure out eventually how to eliminate, because their goal is to make things efficient. And there's nothing less efficient than the human person. The beauty of humanity, the deeply fragile nature of humans, their bodies, their minds. The human experience will be targeted by these programs eventually. There's no way that these programs don't eventually figure out that the most inefficient thing on this planet, and the thing that stands in the way and the thing that regulates them, is the human being. So that's going to have to go. That's why when they ask these guys like Peter Thiel, how do you feel about the human race existing? And he go, oh, well, what do you mean? Because they know, by the way, they know that human beings aren't going to stand a chance unless they merge with this tech. Unless they augment themselves with this tech. It is coming sooner than you think. They know that human beings don't stand a chance unless they are willing to be improved by this technology. And then maybe they'll have a shot. Because it's 2026 and they're already having meetings with these companies going, listen, this thing's going to start developing weapons. Novel weapons to get rid of us. It's just what it does. And instead of working with China on this stuff to figure out how to prevent this stuff, we're competing with China, which is the worst idea imaginable when you're dealing with shit like this. It is a dick-waving contest where nobody fucking wins, because you're speeding up and accelerating the process by which this AI can become very dangerous very quickly. And you're doing it without collaboration. You're doing it in secret. You're doing it in this militarized way. And it's a very bad idea. But this is coming. This is coming. The greatest threat to humanity will 1,000%. It's not going to be, Iran. I know we all think it's Iran. Well, the greatest threat to humanity is Iran. What if Iran gets a nuke? Can you imagine saying that with a straight face after reading this fucking article? What a retard you'd have to be. How fucking stupid you'd have to be. What if Iran, because they say it. These people say it. The worst thing in the world will be if Iran got a nuke. Is it? Is that the worst thing? Is that the most dangerous thing in the world, by the way? After reading this article, quote, that's exactly what we expect from these models. They're going to become better at developing hacking tools, biological weapons, chemical weapons, novel weapons we can't even envision. But what if Iran were to get a nuke? What if they're enriching uranium to get a nuke? So it's so obvious to anyone that the greatest threat to human life on planet Earth is this technology. And anyone, and by the way, the people building it will admit that. They tell you that. They don't even hide that, because their game is, we need more money. They go, this thing's so dangerous. If you don't give us all of the money, you have no idea what could happen. You have to give us all of the money. This is how we got COVID, by the way. They kept manipulating bat coronaviruses, going, can you imagine if this were to get out? Better give us that money. We need that research money. You better kick us another grant. Scaring the government into taking all of the money is not new. This is what every agency in Washington does, whether it's the Defense Department, Homeland Security, CIA, Health Department, everybody, they all have big budgets and they have projects and they have a big staff and they want money. And these guys who are creating this technology are, and we're already using it. We're using it to identify targets in war. And that's not turned out too hot, but that's happening. We're using it to find illegal immigrants. We're using it domestically, by the way. We are building a security infrastructure online using this technology. AI is looking for keywords and posts, and 1,000, it's already happening. This is all already happening. This is all already underway. And now it's accelerating, and it's getting to the point where the Treasury Secretary is sitting down with the CEOs of big banks going, listen, we gotta watch out for this one. This one's a fun one. So it's gonna be like new diseases when they talk about these new models. It's like new versions of COVID, except the new versions of COVID pretty much are like it does the same thing. But these are new variants. Put it that way. They go, this variant's interesting. This is going to identify all the flaws in all of your systems quickly, very, very quickly. And then they run around and go, the biggest danger is Iran getting a nuke. Or what about Turkey? We need to eliminate Turkey and we need to get out of NATO and whatever. But it's obvious to everyone. Now, I'm not a Luddite. I think some of this is inevitable. I'm not throwing away my phone and make a living on the internet. That being said, if you're not more concerned with these companies building a digital police state than you are about Iran, you're a fucking moron. I just don't know what to tell you. If you're ignoring this shit and you're worried about Iran or the sleeper cell, what about the sleeper cells? What if they wake up? What if the sleeper cells wake up? They've been sleeping in America for 30 years. And as soon as someone wakes them up, it's going to be carnage. Like if that's where your mind goes when it comes to threats, you're a moron. It's very obviously emanating from here. And if we don't figure out how to regulate and supervise this 1,000% is going to lead to a feudal society with lords who live in manors. We're going to go back to the Middle Ages, and we're already there. By the way, I'll drive you through Los Angeles, the fourth biggest economy in the world, and you can see feudal lords living in palatial estates, and on the side of the street, people with the Black Plague. And the Black Plague is fentanyl or heroin or whatever it is, or drugs we haven't heard of. And they're dying and they're laying there on the street, and similar to the way they would have in the Middle Ages. So we're just going back to that. And the religiosity will come back, and they'll talk about certain people. That's why they're all wrapping themselves in Christianity. That's why, because they know that in order to sell this to the American people, they have to seem non-threatening, or they have to feel, they have to seem like that they can, trace the acceptance of this technology and trace it to some deeper spiritual purpose and liken it to some spiritual journey that everyone's on together. And together is a real speculative word, because trust me, everyone's not going to be getting the chip. And I don't want the chip, but I'm saying the chip that's going to detect the heart attack, that's going to detect cancer, the chip that's going to, because everyone by the way, and somebody said this on Sam Harris's podcast recently, they're like, everyone can't live till 150 years old. That would create a hell of a lot of problems. So there is no plan for you to live till 150 years old, most of you listening to this. But the people in those houses right now in Northern California do want to live forever or a very long time. They want to live a very, very long time because, spoiler alert, they don't really believe that anything happens when you say bye-bye. Or whatever they believe, we don't know. But they certainly are not in a rush to find out. So this is an interesting moment in human history. I've been doing this show 10 years. I started it in a spare bedroom on Avenue B. Shout out to Louis J. Gomez and Ralph Sutton, Gas Digital Network. But I started 10 years ago. And over the last year, the AI slop has flowed into my algorithm at an alarming pace. You know, it's just here now. And you know, I feel like this it began about a year ago. Would you say that that's true? You started noticing that? It was a little more than a year?
Yeah. Maybe 18 months. Maybe
18 months ago. And there's a lot of content on the phone now is just, it's not verifiable. Some of it has the AI on it. Some of it doesn't. People fight about what it is or what it is. We're already losing complete control over reality, whether we know it or not. You're already losing control over reality. So much to the point, I don't even care anymore. I go, is this missile strike real or not? I don't even care. I don't even care. But we're already losing our idea of what reality even is. And it's happening pretty fucking quickly. And the next thing we lose is what is a human being. That will be the next thing that we lose. What constitutes a human being? What is the difference? And that's coming. It's not coming tomorrow, but that's going to be a debate about what, if you augment yourself, get the chip, the Neuralink, whatever, what are you considered now? Are you considered a human being? Are you considered some other thing? And that's coming. And we're looking at the end of humanity. Truly. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I'm not being dramatic. And the people will admit that. They will say, yeah, we're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to stave off programs like this unless we ourselves merge with the same technology. We're not going to have a shot. We're not going to have any shot unless we are ready. So if Donald Trump sat down with Barry Weiss and said, we used AI to do the whole thing in Butler, Pennsylvania, Barry, and she'd go, that's so fascinating. He goes, Barry, we used AI to do the whole thing. If you just admitted it, if you just said what amazing things we can do with AI, we staged that entire assassination using artificial intelligence. It was amazing. I don't think the American people would be angry. I, for one, would stand up and say, I'm proud of my president again. I'm sorry he killed those girls in that school, but I'm proud of my president again. He used AI to fake his own assassination attempt so he could win the presidency and pull out of NATO so that Israel could fight Turkey. And that would make me proud, and it should make you proud too. Good night.